Miranda and Ella blasted off. Oh, out with the old, in with the new. Miranda and Ella blasted off. They attached themselves to a new crowd destined for high school glory. After a week of painful lunches where all they would do was talk about the people that didn't interest me, I decided to make a clean break for it. They asked no questions. I told no lies. We just went our separate ways. I didn't even mind after a while. I stopped going to lunch for about a week, though, to make the transition easier, to avoid the fake, "Oh, shoot, there's no room for you at the table, Olivia." It was easier to just go to the library and read. I finished War and Peace in October. It was amazing. People think it's such a hard read, but it's really just a soap opera with lots of characters, people falling in love, fighting for love, dying for love. I want to be in love like that someday. I want my husband to love me the way Prince Andrea loved Natasha. I ended up hanging out with a girl named Eleanor, who I'd known from my days at PS 22, though we'd gone to different middle schools. Eleanor had always been a really smart girl, a little bit of a crybaby back then, but nice. I'd never realized how funny she was. Not laugh out loud daddy funny, but full of great quips. And she never knew how lighthearted I could be. Eleanor, I guess, had always been under the impression that I was very serious. And as it turns out, she never liked Miranda and Ella. She thought they were stuck up. I gained entry through Eleanor to the smart kids table at lunch. It was a large group that I'd been accustomed to hanging out with, and a more diverse crowd. It included Eleanor's boyfriend, Kevin, who would definitely become class president someday, a few techie guys, girls like Eleanor, who were members of the yearbook committee and the debate club, and a quiet guy named Justin, who had small round glasses, played the violin, and who I had an instant crush on. When I'd see Miranda and Ella, who were now hanging out with the super popular set, we'd say, "Hey, what's up?" and move on. Occasionally, Miranda would ask me how August was doing and then say, "Tell him I say hello." This I never did, not to spite Miranda, but because August was in his own world these days. These were times at home. There were times at home that we never crossed paths. October 31st. Grants had died the night before Halloween. Since then, even though it had been 4 years, this has always been a sad time of year for me. For Mom too, though she doesn't always say it. Instead, she immerses herself in getting August's costume ready, since we all know Halloween is his favorite time of the year. This year was no different. August really wanted to be the Star Wars character called Boba Fett. So Mom looked for a Boba Fett costume in August's size, which strangely enough was out of stock everywhere. She went to every online store, found a few on eBay that were going to be an outrageous amount, and finally ended up buying a Jango Fett costume that she then converted into a Boba Fett costume by painting it green. I would say in all, she must have spent 2 weeks working on the stupid costume. And no, I won't mention the fact that Mom has never made any costumes for me, because it really has no bearing on anything at all. The morning of Halloween, I woke up thinking about Grams, which made me really sad and weepy. Dad kept telling me to hurry up and get dressed, which just stressed me out even more. And suddenly I started crying. I just wanted to stay home. So Dad took August to school that morning, and Mom said I could stay home, and the two of us cried together for a while. One thing I knew for sure, however much I missed Grans, Mom must have missed her more. All those times August was clinging to life after a surgery, all those rush trips to the ER, Grams had always been there for Mom. It felt good to cry with Mom, for both of us. At one point, Mom had the idea of our watching The Ghost and Mr. Murr together, which was one of our all-time favorite black and white movies. I agreed that was a great idea. I think I probably would have used this weeping session as an opportunity to tell Mom everything that was going on at school with Miranda and Ella. But just as we were sitting down in front of the DVD player, the phone rang. It was a nurse from August's school calling to tell Mom that August had a stomach ache and she should pick him up. So much for the old movies and the mother-daughter bonding. Mom picked August up, and the moment he came home, he went straight to his bathroom and threw up. Then he came to his bed and pulled the covers over his head. Mom took his temperature and brought him some hot tea and assumed the August mom's role. Via's mom had come out for a little while, was put away. I understood, though. August was in bad shape. Neither one of us asked him why he had worn his bleeding screen costume to school instead of the Boba Fett costume Mom had made for him. If it annoyed Mom to see the costume she'd worked on for 2 weeks tossed on the floor unused, she didn't show it. Trick or treat. August said he wasn't feeling well enough to go trick-or-treating later in the afternoon, which was sad for him because I know how much he loves to trick-or-treat, especially after it got dark outside. Even though I was well beyond the trick-or-treating stage myself, I usually threw on some mask or other to accompany him up and down the blocks, watching him knocking on people's doors, giddy with the excitement. I knew it was one night a year that he could truly be like every other kid. No one knew he was different under the mask. To August, that must have felt absolutely amazing. At 7 o'clock that night, I knocked on his door. "Hey," I said. "Hey," he said back. He wasn't using his PlayStation or reading a comic book. He was just lying in his bed, looking at the ceiling. Daisy, as always, was next to him on the bed, her head draped over his legs. The bleeding screen costume was crumpled up on the floor next to the Boba Fett costume. "How's your stomach?" I said, sitting next to him on the bed. "I'm still nauseous." "Are you sure you're not up for the Halloween parade?" "Positive." That surprised me. Usually August was such a trooper about his medical issues, whether it was skateboarding a few days after a surgery or sipping food through a straw when his mouth was practically bolted shut. This was a kid who's gotten more shots, taken more medicine, put up with more procedures by the age of 10 than most people will have put up with in 10 lifetimes. And he was sidelined for a little nausea? "You want to tell me what's up?" I said, sounding a bit like Mom. "No." "Is it school?" "Yes." "Teachers, schoolwork, friends?" He didn't answer. "Did someone say something?" I asked. "People always say something," he answered bitterly. I could tell he was close to crying. "Tell me what happened," I said. He told me what happened. He had overheard some very mean things from some boys they were saying about them. He didn't care about what the other boys had said. He expected that, but he was hurt by that one of his friends was his best friend, Jack Little. I remember him mentioning Jack's name a couple times over the past few months. I remember Mom and Dad saying he seemed like a really nice kid, saying they were glad August had made a friend like that. "Sometimes kids are stupid," I said softly, holding his hand. I'm sure he didn't mean it. "Then why would he say it? He's been pretending to be my friend all along. Tushman probably bribed him with good grades or something. I bet he was like, 'Hey, Jack, if you make friends with a freak, you don't have to take any tests this year.'" "You know that's not true, and don't call yourself a freak." "Whatever. I wish I'd never gone to school in the first place." "But I thought you were liking it." "I hate it." He was angry all of a sudden, punching his pillow. "I hate it. I hate it. I hate it." He was shrieking at the top of his lungs. I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. He was hurt. He was mad. I let him have a few more minutes of his fury. Daisy started licking the tears off his face. "Come on, Augie," I said, patting him gently. "Why don't you put on your Jango Fett costume and—" "It's a Bobby Fett costume! Why does everyone mix that up?" "Bobby Fett costume," I said, trying to stay calm. I put my arm around his shoulders. "Let's just go to the parade, okay? If I go to the parade, Mom will think I'm feeling better and make me go to school tomorrow." "Mom would never make you go to school," I answered. "Come on, Augie, let's just go. It'll be fun, I promise, and I'll let you have all my candy." He didn't argue. He got out of bed and slowly started pulling on his Boba Fett costume. I helped him adjust the straps and tighten the belt, and by the time he put his helmet on, I could tell he was feeling better.